I think we're live.
Yeah, we are. Hi, guys.
We are live.
Hello, everyone.
So-
Whoever is there.
We're live. We're live now.
Yeah, we're live, Ricky. You just have to say hello.
Hello. Can they hear us? Can they hear us?
Can you guys hear us?
Is there any way to communicate with them with a text or something?
There's a chat. There's a chat box in the live stream. Why do I have my? Is it Lorena? Can they hear us? Are you looking at the?
Well, they're saying hello and yes and loud and clear.
Okay, cool.
Okay, where do I get to connect to that chat thing so I can insult people?
I just shared it in the in my page. If you go to my page, I just shared the
on
live.
Your personal page. Correct.
Yeah, the live stream.
Got it. So if I blah blah blah. So okay, I go there. Okay, I get it. I can read it now. Okay.
Okay, you got it?
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, welcome to Draw or Die's Ascension 20 interview with David Levy. Glad to have you, David. This is a very casual talk. You know, we're not dead serious here. Just having fun and getting to know the artist. So, welcome. Really excited to have David. So, let's see. Again, Dave.
I'm trying to connect to the thing.
Do you want me to wait for you?
Yeah, it's working. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. So first, I want to thank you, David, for making the time to come hang out with us and judge the challenge. It's really cool to have you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. It's an honor. So before we start, since these videos are going to be viewed by a general audience outside the group, I want to quickly explain what Draw or Die is. Draw or Die is a study group where people can come and post their work for critiques and advice. We run an illustrative monthly challenge called Ascension, where the members are given a brief and a few guidelines in order to help them build a solid portfolio and get a taste of current industry demands to better prepare them in the future. Each Ascension challenge is judged by a special guest, and this month for Ascension 19, we have the awesome and inspirational David Levy. And our character for this month was a villain, a badass villain, by the name of Vile. In case you guys don't know, that's actually David Levy's art name, alter ego, without the H.
Yeah, well, basically what it was, it's my family name reversed.
Yeah, it's
so you take Levy, you reverse the two syllables and it becomes Vile.
Yeah, it's which I thought was really clever.
Originally, actually, that was the name of a character in a video game that came out 20 years ago when I was a beginner in the game industry. So there you go.
Nice.
That's the backstory to it.
There's a backstory to it.
Exactly.
So yeah, on to David. I wanted to say real quick. I'm gonna go off on this quick rant on why David to me and to the group, I mean, should be a huge thing, and he still is, will always be. So forgive me for my rant. I was just talking to David about that. But when I got into art back in about 2010ish, I was hungry, trying to learn and looking for inspiration and just looking everywhere. And I was buying, Imagine Effects magazines and Gnomon DVDs and doing anything to get better. And David Levy was that guy that was like just everywhere. I mean, he still is, but he was just everywhere and reading up on him and learning, through his stories and interviews and stuff like that. It was really cool. So yeah, it's really an honor to have him here. And thanks again, David. It's really cool, man. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much for having me. I apologize in advance if you hear a baby in the background. That's my baby. Okay.
No, it's fine. I thought it was Lorena for a second. It's fine.
What?
But just so if you guys hear something like that, it's my daughter. She's not peeing right now, but she doesn't like to nap like me, so.
No worries, man.
You may hear her.
like I said, it's a casual talk. It's just
It's all good.
um,
Well, thanks a lot first of all for the nice words. I mean, it means a lot to me, to hear that. And I mean, when you're just your head, just racing and trying to become a better artist and stuff like that, I'm just happy that somewhat I inspired someone, and I'm just really happy to hear that. Well, thanks for the kind words. That's all I can say.
Thanks, man. So yeah. What else? What else do we have before the first question? I guess we can have you introduce yourself for the people that live under rocks and don't know who you are. You can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'll tell you my life the least boringly possible. So I was born in France originally, in a place called Montpellier on the coast of South France. And ever since I was a kid, I loved drawing, like probably a lot of us, not like all of us, but a lot of us. And in France at the time, when I became an adolescent, first of all, the only thing I wanted to do was smoke pot and go on the beach and windsurf. That was my life. And then, but at the same time, I was still doing a lot of drawings, but I really didn't do, I did okay at school, but I just was extremely lazy. I was very bored at school very often. And also, I was going through a lot of things with my parents. My parents were divorcing and stuff like that. But anyway, long story short, what happened at some point, my mom realized that I loved drawing, okay? And without telling me, she subscribed me to a French art school that was industrial design. And she told me the day before, she gave me a train ticket. And she said, go there and do that competition. What is that? Honestly, I was just scared to death because I had never passed any exam properly before in my life. And I went there and I really enjoyed doing the exam. And I thought, what, I'm probably not going to get in, but I really enjoyed it. So I told my mom, what, thank you. I'm probably not going to get in, but thank you. It was a really enjoyable thing to do, actually. And to my surprise, out of like 500 students, they took like 20, and I was one of the 20. So I think that was the first time I feel in my life that someone had recognized something in me. And from that point, I thought, what, if this is my calling, I'm going to make the best of it. And that's really when I started working my ass off. When I was 18, I guess, I went in that art school. It's called the European Design Institute. It's in South France. And I really put everything I had from that point. I put everything I had, all the energy I had, I put it into drawing and making art, sculpting, doing watercolors and whatnot. I was just hungry like crazy. But I think originally it really started because I had that. I was for the first time in my life, I think, recognized as being somewhat okay at something, And from there, so I did 3 years of industrial design, and I was really crazy about cars. I was crazy about painting spaceships and that kind of stuff. But when you're in France, and first of all, when you're in France and you're an artist, you're a bum. You're considered a bum. You're considered a low life, and whatever. You're never gonna make money, and nice to meet you, kind of thing. But the thing is that someone said they don't hear me very well, so I'm trying to speak a little louder. Can you hear me better? Can you hear me fine, guys?
Check.
Hello?
Check.
Yeah. Check. Can you hear me?
Check.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so then what happens is that because in France you're not very recognized, I had the feeling pretty early that I was probably going to have to try to move away from France in order to do entertainment, especially video games or movie, So what I did is that I prepared a portfolio, and I tried to, and after my diploma in France, I got received by a school in Holland that was doing architecture. So I did architecture for a year, got a diploma there as well. And then from there, I started in the first game company that I knew. That was 25 years ago almost, and that was in Paris. A company that did video games that was Nightmare. I didn't learn much aside from get away from France, which I did. Then I went to England, I went to UK. But the thing is that my dream was always to do sci-fi. And all the projects I was landing on was never about sci-fi. Really, I was just doing like stuff like, okay, teddy bear stuff is going on a vacation, that kind of crap, that for years, and I did like crappy projects for many years, and some less crappy than others. But for the most part, especially in the video game industry, very often what would happen is that the company would close, And so for 8 years, pretty much for 8 years, all the projects I worked on, there was none of them that was released, not one. And I think that's important to tell that to either young students or even older, is that it doesn't happen in one day. And when it does happen in one day, there's a lot of chance that you're going to have a big slap in your face at some point in your artist life. Mm. And the thing is that I still had a dream to work in movies, because my dad loved movies and was inspiring to me and doing sci-fi and things like that. So I kept doing that on the side, in forums, on art forums. At the time, there's a guy that passed away a few weeks ago called Francis Tsai, who did an art forum online for concept designers. And that art forum was the first contact I ever had with the online community. So I started posting my artwork there. I started posting my artwork in CGN, sci-fi stuff, still, spaceships, robots, everything I could paint. And that was more than 10 years ago, probably 12, 13 years ago. And I kept going at it. At some point, I got hired by, long story short, I got hired by Ubisoft many years ago, like 10 years ago or something. And they hired me, and I worked on Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed. It was Prince of Persia 3, Assassin's Creed, the first one. And that, in some ways, that changed my career, because people finally saw me as someone who could do something. And that's a weird thing, is that unless you work on a big project, even though you could be the best artist in the world, you're nobody, And and in some ways, later, I created a company, Steamboat Studios at the time, that I ran for 7 years. And then I kept working on other games. And then 6-7 years ago, I got the phone call that I finally had always dreamed of. Disney contacted me to work on Tron Legacy. Nice. And that was the first movie project I worked on. If we don't count the comic book I did for I Am Legend. So I worked on Tron Legacy. It was supposed to be a 2-month project, and they hired me for 2 years. I was there for almost the first week of the project, all the way to the last week of the project. And then I went on to work on Prometheus from there, and then I went on to work on Tomorrowland, and then now I'm working on Avatar and Tron sequels. I must have forgotten a few projects in between, like Ender's Game. I worked on Ender's Game, and The Thing, the revival of The Thing. And that's it. So shorten the story quickly because I don't want to get boring. There you go.
Nice. So I guess I want to touch back up on your parents supporting your art. Were they always supportive for towards your goals in art? And was that like a big motivation for you to keep going?
Pretty much never. No. Oh, my baby's crying.
It's fine. It's fine.
She okay, honey? Yeah. Honey, she okay? Sure. Yeah. She doesn't want to sleep. She slept a lot this morning. So, actually, the thing is that my parents were too busy with their work. They were extremely hard workers. My dad really didn't want me to become an artist at all. He wanted me to. He was a doctor, and he wanted me to become a doctor. So that was a big battle when I grew up as an adolescent. It was really a difficult battle for me to go through and try to prove him that I could do something of value. My mom was the one who recognized that I could do artwork. But that was it. So it came more through the people that were surrounding me in art school, because for once I felt like I was belonging to a place. That was it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
You're up, Lorena.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so what about influences? Like in your early days and now, are there still artists that influence you and your art?
Sure, definitely. And that's the thing is first of all, to start with, the early influence. In France, the thing to understand is that there is a huge amount of comic books. Probably less nowadays because it's such a nightmare to be a comic book artist and make money. But in France at the time when I grew up, comic book was king. and comic books was the way to get in touch with art. So I grew up with reading tons and tons and tons of comic books. And the thing is that there is a style to European comic books, line that's amazing. And even nowadays, if you look back at those artists, they're incredible. It's my baby crying in the background. Someone is asking. Sorry about that.
It's fine.
So the first biggest influence I've ever had in my life was Moebius. No doubt. So my wife is going to go check on my baby. She's okay. She just doesn't want to sleep. Yeah. But so Moebius was the biggest influence I ever had in my life. There's no doubt about this. And my biggest regret is to never have met him. So that's the fact that he was surfing everything. He was doing a cowboy comic book. He was doing like a sci-fi stuff. He was doing like super weird dimensional things. And so for me, that was really the key person that influenced me. He worked on Tron. He worked on the first Alien. So I really saw him as a guide. And even though I never met him, he kind of became my parent. My secondary parents, because my parents were not too crazy about me doing artwork. So that was the person I followed as a kid. Nowadays, there's such a huge slew of concept artists that every day almost on Facebook I discover a new one, and these are my influence. When it comes to designs, there's like young kids. Like the first name that comes to mind is Prog Wang. I don't know if you've ever seen his work. He's an art center student, and he does like a lot of sci-fi, tech, mech stuff. Another artist that's young that really influenced me over the last few years is John Park. With whom I work right now.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, and not only he's phenomenal, he's just a sweetheart as well. He's a really sweet guy to be around. Really, very nice guy. Very humble. So he's really just a great influence around me right now. And then in between today and the past, there's people like Ben Proctor, whom I work with, Dylan Cole, whom I work with, Stephen Messing, whom I work with now, Daniel Simon, of course, Sid Mead. If you go back in the past, there's so many people that influence me on a daily basis. And I go back to the old school ones as well, and that it's really very hard to pinpoint one artist. I think it's daily inundation of my brain with inspiration, I guess. So, yeah, and nowadays, like other artists like Yana Schirmer, Matthias, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's it. Hope that answer.
What?
Yes, pretty much. Go ahead, Ricky.
It's me? I thought it was you.
No, it's you.
Is it me?
Yeah.
It is me. It is. I was saying, because I was watching your Level Up interview, and I was thinking, it seems like there were a lot of doubts coming out of you initially when you went off to that art competition to get into art school as a young artist. But what was it that kept you pushing and worked through the doubts?
Well, I think the things that when you're young, you have no idea of how much work things take, So, and you have nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose. I was single, I didn't have kids, and I was just hungry for adventure, And more than beating the doubts, it was just like, well, I have no idea what's out there. The only thing that I know is that I will probably never work in the movie industry. That was my vision. It's like, no, I'll never work in the movie industry. I'll never work in the game industry. So who cares? I'm just going to do what I love. I'm going to draw and get good at it, And maybe if I'm lucky, maybe someone will like me, So it was almost like a form of, I don't know, like, I don't know, then I don't care kind of thing. Like, I didn't expect anything. That's the thing. I had zero expectations about any success for myself. That's what it was. And the thing is that it's harder nowadays because, I know that other artists probably have expectations for me. Expecting that I don't do any shitty image or something like that, and I have more things to lose. and it's actually harder now in some ways than when I was a kid.
So it's an ignorance is bliss type thing where
That's
you just
exactly it.
you
That's
just have
exactly it.
no idea what you're getting yourself into, and you're just gonna go.
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
That's exactly it.
nice. I love
And,
that.
and as I said, the thing that knowing Sid Mead, I mean, just as an icon, for example, or Moebius is an icon. I thought, what? There's no way in hell in my lifetime that I will ever be close to those guys. I'm not saying that I am close to those guys, but at least I worked on similar projects with those guys. But I had no expectations.
Nice. Interesting.
So, what's your thought on talent versus hard work? Because I think most of us can agree that talent is like, well, that's crap. But that it comes down to hard work. So, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I always say it's 10% talent, 90% hard work. I agree with that. But also the thing, I mean, there is a form of talent into loving what you do so much that you don't care about the hours you put into, And to me, it is a form of talent, So hard work, in some ways, is a different form of talent. And either way, I think either talent, which I don't know, it's a very, very vague thing to me,
Yeah, exactly.
I think there is a view on things that's different, and that maybe recognizes talent. But hard work is only possible if you love what you do, And at some point, even if you don't have as much talent as other guys, you may find a way to be productive and hireable, because in the end, that's what makes a difference. Can you be hired or not, And someone who works hard will be hired over someone who's talented any day. The companies don't care if you're talented. Can you work hard? It's true. Can you work hard? Great. I'll hire you, So I think to me, I'm more of a hard worker than a talented guy. Personally, that's my view on things. I think that I didn't realize how much work things would take, so I didn't know. So I just kept working, and then one day it worked, The other thing is that, I've met very, very talented people before in the past, and they way more talented than me, and they still are more talented than me, and they don't necessarily work on a project I worked on. So I think the attitude and the hard work is 90%, and the talent is 10%. That's what I would say.
Nice.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Nice.
And what about being patient? Most of us know that it's kind of hard to be patient sometimes because you work hard and you work all the time, and it's just like it takes forever for you to get like work or to get it started, the whole thing. So
well, there's different things about patience. First of all, I agree. Patience, when you're young, you don't have it, and that's just the way you are,
Exactly.
And it's a question of brain, I don't know if you ever read about that, but when you're a teenager, your prefrontal cortex is not developed enough, okay? And that's the last area of your brain that develops. The first area is your primitive brain, your snake part, if you want, and then very much later, when you're a teenager, your prefrontal cortex develops, and then that allows you to take reasonable decisions, But until you've had experience, you just take bad decisions. I've taken so many bad decisions, and it's just the way it is, And you're impatient, and you want success right away, you want money right away. Some people will have it, if they are lucky enough, and some people don't. And then, like me, I just had to go. Once again, it took me 15 years to work in the movie industry, and I'm very thankful I'm there now. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and that's just everybody's different. I think I made a lot of mistakes. I wish I had a faster progression, but I made a lot of mistakes. But that allowed me to be slightly wiser, maybe, So everybody's different. Everybody's life is different, and the other thing. On top of that, not only that, but on top of that, the industry changes all the time. And not only changes all the time, but companies become irrelevant much faster than they used to. You have big game companies nowadays, and they become successful overnight doing, I don't know, like Farmville or whatever, and those guys become billionaires, and then in 1 year later, they don't exist anymore. The company closes and everybody's fired.
Yep.
So, I mean, as an artist, I think that's just the cross we have to bear. You have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You have to be ready for the really bad turns in your life, and you have to be ready, like a boxer, to get up again and keep fighting.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at one of your Prometheus pieces from your website, and I'm gonna skip that question. Just wondering, man, like what was it like to work behind H.R. Geiger? Like, Jesus Christ, that.
Well, I mean, it was very strange. I mean, one thing is that the same is true about Moebius and Sidmead and Geiger. Those guys, there's a guy like that comes up once every 50 years. I'm not one of those guys. No, I take it very realistically. I'm a hard worker. I'm a guy who can produce a lot of artwork, but I'm not a Geiger. I'm not a Sidmead. I'm not a Moebius. I probably never will be. I'll be David Levy. Something else. I don't know where it is yet. Maybe I'll know once I'm dead. I don't know. But the thing is that, so when you arrive behind that, you just come in with a lot of respect, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do my best. And the thing is that, strangely, what happened is that, I think Ridley Scott knew that there's no two Geiger on this planet. There never will be, because we don't need two Geigers. One is enough.
True.
One is enough of fucked upness, So one is enough. And the thing is that he knows that, so he's not going to apply the same kind of artistic visions that he applied on the other alien movies, and he's going to use what he has, as me, Ben, and Steve. And he just juggled with our styles, and he used us to create his vision, So it was just right from the bat. He didn't want to have any creatures at first in that movie. It was very weird, and then slowly it evolved. And actually, Ben was one of the guys who really pushed for having more Giger in this, and Steve Messing did that too, So it's a creative process. So things happen, but the thing is that as long as we realize and understand that there's never going to be another Geiger, it's fine.
That's interesting. So, like, now I'm going off the questions, but yeah, I'm sorry, Lorena.
Don't mind.
Since we're looking at Prometheus, because that is one of my, if anything, that's like my favorite Ridley Scott movie so far. A lot of people don't like it, but this is like a personal question because I love sci-fi. I love the idea of and this goes off art. It's not even about art, but I want to know what you think, since maybe you don't even think about this, maybe you do, but I was reading Chariots of the Gods before Prometheus even came out, and I kind of have a book that I want to make about that, and I'm very, very interested in that idea of the creation of man, because I think as artists, it's that divinity aspect of things and creation that I think gets us. Like,
well, I may go weird on you, okay? But I think that a lot of artists have that desire and vision and like excitement about knowing who the God is, and who put us on this planet.
Yes.
I think one of the big reasons why as artists we are like that, I think it's because I'm not a psychotherapist or psychologist or anything, but a lot of us artists were created when maybe there was a lack of parenting.
Yes.
Very, very often, as an artist, you become an artist when you're a kid because that's all you have to do.
Exactly.
You have crayons, you have colors, and you just go at it because you're by yourself at home, or maybe you don't have a parental guidance as strong as it should be, And I think even Ridley Scott, falls into that. He's an artist as well, and he falls into that. And I think there's a mixture of, as humans, I think it's very natural to feel abandoned on this planet, because we're by ourselves, and it's pretty tough to be with each other, between wars and murders and anyway, all that negative stuff, So there's a natural question that comes in that's mixed with psychological question is who are my parents, and why am I by myself? Why am I by myself on this planet? And who dropped us here, And I think it's an amazingly fascinating question. And I think it's a question that can, and I know exactly what the book you're talking about, Chariots of the Gods. I totally know what you're talking about, and I think it's something that excites me as well as a subject. That's probably why I love sci-fi too. Anyway, so that's my rambling about it. I think it's a mixture of psychological reasons as well as philosophical reasons.
That's interesting, man. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna put it out there. I didn't have the greatest parents, so yeah, I grew up pretty much by myself, and I never thought about that. I never thought about why I questioned those sort of things, and I think it does tie into art. I never ever thought about that. So that's pretty mind blowing, to be honest. Like I'm gonna like sit down after the interview and just like cry to myself in a corner, like like.
I think it's good to do that once in a while. But the thing is that because I told you my road wasn't easy. No, it was really not easy. If I can tell anything, is that even if your road is not easy, an artist, guys, don't give up because it's fucking hard. Okay, but the thing is that it's okay. It's like going through a storm. You go through it, and you do question yourself. You do question the reason why you do it. Why do you do artwork? That's something that happened to me just a few years ago, like 3-4 years ago. I spent my whole life trying to prove my dad that I was worth it. And finally, when I worked on my first movie, he finally saw that and he was very proud of myself. But just after that happened, he died, And that was really a horrible moment for my father to die, because for once in my life I was able to make him proud, And that really hit me hard. After his passing away, I really had a really bad depression when I was working on finishing on Tron Legacy and beginning on Prometheus. And those questions that I just told you about, that's the kind of stuff that was going through my mind. Why am I doing this? Why am I painting every day? Why am I doing 3D? Why am I doing all this? And I think any artist that pushes himself hard enough will question the reason why he does artwork at some point. Maybe it's first year, maybe it's 10 years. Me, it took me 15 years, okay. but it took me a while, but I did question all those questions. And I think the answer that I have is, in the end, is to entertain people, to be honest.
Yeah.
And to make people maybe excited about what I created, or maybe happy or inspired. Maybe my role was just to, at some point, briefly in my life, inspire you. Maybe. Who knows?
Exactly.
And the same way Moebius, at some point in his life, inspired me, and gave me a reason to be in my life. Other than that, I don't know what I would have become, honestly. I have no idea. Maybe I would have become a bum, if it wasn't for Moebius. So there you go.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, dude. Wow, that's interesting. That's deep.
Yeah, it's true. It is, because if it wasn't for Moebius, I don't know where I would be now. I have no idea.
Yeah,
maybe I would have found another inspiration. Maybe it would have been Jacques Cousteau. Which I love anyway. But maybe I'd be a scuba diver now. I don't know.
Yeah, Igor talked about Moebius. I don't know if you Igor Chevalier.
Of course, yeah, Black Friday.
Yeah, he was talking about Moebius, and I thought that was really deep. The way he talked about Moebius really touched me. And that's what makes, I think that's what makes an artist an artist. Like, you love this guy, this person, this style, this vision that it impacts your life that much, and that's interesting.
And I think because there is something almost like a magical.
Yes.
If you look at a drawing by Moebius, you just can't help but wonder. Even now that I'm an adult, I just don't get it. How in hell? How does he do that? I still don't get it nowadays. So.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's interesting. So we're gonna go back to the questions. I went off.
Sorry, the baby's crying again.
It's fine. It's fine, man. It happens. So I'm gonna go back to the question. So I was saying, snowy days in London, stranded. Uh, I was listening to your Level Up interview. Uh, Snowy days in London, stranded, scavenging for lunch at 11 a.m., trying to get
Yeah,
free lunch.
yeah.
Tell us about perseverance, man. Why did you keep moving forward? What was it? Was it for the sake of art, or was it because you just didn't want to fail?
I mean, it's a tough question. I think once again, I would say that the biggest thing was that I had nothing to lose. I had really nothing to go back home to. You know, I mean, I had left France because my family situation was horrible. You know, my mom, my dad was divorcing. You know, I never. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't get along with my sister. Now things have changed. You know, but I think in big part, I really had nothing to lose, and the only thing that had never let me down was art. You know, art gave me food. Art gave me a roof above my head. You know, more or less. Sometimes it was a shaky roof, but I had a roof. You know. So I guess that and it gave me friends, it gave me a family. You know, especially online later when I met with so many artists online, I finally had a family. You know, but for the most part, it was just there was nothing else. I mean, what was I gonna go back to? I wasn't happy in France anyway. I was gonna go back in France and just do what? You know, I don't know, maybe become a windsurf instructor. That's it. You know, I mean, which I don't mind by the way. But I think that's what it gave me. It gave me, and I think in some ways that's why I originally took another name. No, first because of the anger towards my father, you know, and no, I named myself Val. It was like some kind of anger, you know, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna be something different. I'm gonna be someone, and I basically built myself a personality as an artist. And to be honest, I didn't even know what Val meant in English at all. By the way, you know. It's only like maybe 5 years later, someone told me, why do you take something weird like that? I was like, does it mean something? So yeah, it means like disgusting, dark thing, you know? Like, oh, okay. I didn't even know about it. But the thing is that I think I became almost like what I had always dreamed to be, like someone who was recognized for something, as opposed to just nothing, you know? So when you're in that mode and you're thinking, okay, well, it gives you the biggest ambition possible. I'm not saying it's the right way to have a good ambition because I collapsed a few years later, but it gave me that ambition of like, okay, well, I'm going to be recognized one way or the other, and that became my way. You know,
Nice.
that's what kept me going. I thought, you know what, either I'm a nobody, which I am already anyway, or either someday because I work so hard, something's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Something.
And I mean, nothing's gonna happen if you don't put a lot of effort in it. So
yeah, but the thing is, like, it's like you know, first of all, I hate going to the gym. Okay, but to go with exactly with what you're saying, Lorena, is that when you go to the gym and you start telling yourself, okay, you know what, today I'm going to do 20 and that's it, not more, not less, 20, and you're never going to really become a big buffy guy, you know, which I'm not, but if you tell yourself, you know what, today I'm going to do 2,000 push-ups, there's a lot of chances you're not going to reach 2,000 push-ups, you know, but you may reach 20 the first day, and maybe 30 after 2 weeks, maybe
exactly.
50. But then, the thing, which is what I'm trying to explain, I guess, when you're asking those questions, Ricky, is that I was shooting for the infinite. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I didn't shoot for someone's position, for someone's job. I didn't shoot for Sid Mead, or because I had never the idea that I could ever reach his shoes, you know. So I thought, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to work my ass off. I don't know how much I'm supposed to work, but I don't care. I have nothing else to do in my life anyway.
Draw or die.
It was more
exactly.
Dude, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Draw or
That's
die.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Is there's so many people that think that it's gonna be easy and it's gonna be soft and it's gonna be fun, and that's what I tell people is, dude, if you want to if you want to break in, if you want to do something with your life, you have to draw your ass off, and that's what I was going for. And
and I think one good trick that I can give. I mean, the trick that works the best for me is, I think it's the best trick. I mean, if there is any artist giving you a trick, that's the only one I know. Okay, is take on impossible goals to achieve. Now, take something and say, don't take a goal. Don't take someone as a goal. Okay, don't take like Elon Musk as a goal, or Vienna, or Sydney, or whatever. Don't take those guys as a goal. Take them as an inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but as a goal, tell yourself, well, you know what? I'm gonna have one freaking book of 1,000 pages that's gonna be filled with sketches by the end of the year. Just tell that to yourself. And there's a lot of chances it's gonna be impossible. Okay, but by trying that, you're gonna become a badass artist. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So whatever happens, if you keep a goal that's impossible to reach, you're either gonna crash, which is a good thing, because when you crash, then
you learn,
or you're gonna succeed. And if you succeed, and if you crash this time, you'll succeed next time, or next time, or next time. And if you never succeed, you would have filled so many pages of freaking sketches that you'll be a badass sketching artist, even if you're not a superstar. So that's the best advice I can give. Reach for unreachable goals.
exactly. You don't shoot for the moon, shoot for fucking Mars or Jupiter or something like that.
Exactly, but be ready for disappointment.
Exactly. Be ready to fail, right?
Yeah.
Failing, you learn. Okay, so I guess we talked about your early upcomings and stuff like that. So right now you're working on Plug. I saw the video, and it was really cool, man. I loved it.
Thank you.
And it makes me proud as an artist because I'm going off the answer. Lorena's looking at the questions like, what is he reading? But but
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
it makes me proud as an artist to know that that you're reaching for that director, creative person that I think we should be. I have a lot of pride in being an artist. I have a lot of pride in being creative as a person. So when I see things like Plug and like Dan Levy's like LMS and personal projects that people are making, that inspires me. I think the most. So that I just wanted to say that. So you can go and tell us about Plug and
I totally get it. I mean, first of all, I think that concept artists should be king of the universe. First of all, okay. Because
exactly.
we go through pain more than anybody, and we turn shit into beautiful things.
Yes.
So we should be managing countries and world. It may look good, it may not be the best place to live, but it would look good. Okay. But that's the thing, is that I see concept artists as my original family that I grew up within, and I think that everybody as a concept artist should reach for the sun, so that, I mean, you, by failing constantly, you will at some point succeed, and then at some point you may do something good with your life, and I think that you should never stop doing that. And that's why I started Plug originally. I thought, you know what, okay, well, I've reached my dream as a concert artist, and that's great and all, but I'm still hungry. I mean, I think in some ways there was a fear inside me that I wouldn't be able to find something impossible to do anymore. When you're doing concept art and you're working very hard, I mean, you've got a system and you're working in that system and you're able to deliver concept art of a certain quality for a certain company, and then especially when you've done that for 20 years, you know you can more or less do it. Okay, and I think I was looking for something that would challenge me in the hardest way possible, and I found it, by the way. I mean, it was a nightmare, But at the same time, because I went through that nightmare, at a certain time of my life, which was already difficult, I think it really allowed me to open my mind once again, like another level, like I opened another part of my brain that I didn't even know existed to start with. And that would have never been possible, I think, if I had kept on doing concept art. And yeah, so that's why I did Plug originally, And I think I did Plug as well as a way to depart from a certain group of people I was linked with a while back, and I felt like I had done that road. I had worked very hard on that road, and I thought it was time for me to be to just be my own manager, And I loved it. I'm very glad I did it because I loved it, and opened, like I said, new doors for me that I had never thought about before.
So what are your plans with that? Like, are you planning on pushing that further and pitching it to movie companies, making it a book, or is that just gonna what's your goal with that?
Right now, we're finishing up a script. My wife is writing it actually, and I'm doing the designs for it, and so we're both writing that script together, and we're hoping to pitch it at some point when it's finished. That's it. So we're taking it easy.
Cool.
We had a baby this year, as you can hear, Steven right now. She's not giving up. She's like me. And so because of the baby this year, we kind of took it easy, and hopefully we'll put back on high speed during this
year. Okay, so we talked about Plug. Well, my question is Plug. What I saw, it was kind of like a human, like last human on Earth type thing. That's why I asked you about Chariots of the Gods. I thought it was really cool.
Well, of course. I mean, it's very much linked, definitely.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. So yeah, that's why I asked. So I'll go to realization of improvement. And like I said, I didn't want to ask the same questions that you answered in Level Up. It was that moment when you said, "I'm just a little piece of shit." I thought that was interesting. I think that all the time, every time, and
you will never stop, by the way.
Yeah, I am pretty sure.
I do the same thing. I still do the same thing. There's moments where I do still think that, and I think it's just, once again, the cross we have to bear, and it could be psychological. Maybe that's the way we grew up and stuff like that, but that's just the way to take it. And I think in many ways, Plug was really a metaphor for that, definitely, where the last human is left. All the other species that's there is like this superior species of robots, and as a human, we're trying to get to terms with, why am I alone? What am I trying to do? What's my goal on this planet? And I think that's a question that everybody's wondering.
Yes. So like during that time, and I'm asking this because a lot of people write me and they ask me like, look, how many hours a day should I draw? Like, what should I be studying? And my mentality right now is just draw as much as you can, as much as you humanly possibly can, without, of course, the personal things. So how much were you drawing at the very beginning when you were, when you realized you were a little piece of shit and you had to just step it up? Like, how much were you drawing at that time?
I was drawing way more than I'm drawing now, that's for sure. I mean, I still have a bunch of sketchbook and portfolios I have here renewed now, actually. Some of them have disappeared, but I was filling sketchbooks. That was the way to get better at the time, design-wise and illustration-wise and coloring-wise. The only way to get better was to do sketchbooks. And I was doing it daily, in a daily manner. Anyway, at the time, concept art was done with paper and pen, So, I mean, that was the only way to get better, So because of that, I was drawing daily, every day. Every day, a minimum of, I don't know, when I started doing, I don't know, it's probably 5 hours a day maybe, and then as time went by, I was more into painting, and Sammy was painting like 5 to 10 hours a day, and then when I became more known, I had more freelance. I was painting all day long, so yeah. But I still need to draw, to be honest, but I don't do it anymore because it doesn't make as much money. Uh, but now it's veering more and more towards 3D. Now let's say that my work is spent like 50% 2D, 50% 3D. And a lot of it is 3D now. So it's evolving as I go. Started with drawing, but now it's more whatever tools gives you money, basically.
Nice. Yeah, that's another question. I'll hit up on that in a little bit. Um, I did have another question though about that, but I forgot. I'll just go back. I'll just go back to that. But we'll go back to the questions. Um, I was talking about frustration and during art, people that hit walls and feel frustrated and don't know what to do. I'm lost. I can't draw. It's not my drawing day. Um, what do you do to get over that as like yourself? What do you do? Like, do you sketch? Do you?
So to get over what? Explain again. Sorry, I'm gonna mute every time that my baby cries, just so that you guys don't hear.
To,
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, go ahead.
to get over like artist block, like what do you do? There's a lot of people that have trouble with that. I'll say me personally, what I figured out works for me is drawing sketches and values. It doesn't even have to make sense. It's just like random, just value sketching. And people ask,
So,
yeah.
so the whole inspiration thing. It's a very big, mysterious thing. I would say that inspiration, to me, I compare it to like finding oil in the desert. You know what I mean? It's like you're gonna go to some place, that you're not necessarily used to. You're gonna go there, you're gonna dig a hole, and then some freaking oil is gonna come out, and then you're gonna pump that oil as much as you can until it's empty. That's the way I feel inspiration is, and so I think what's very important for that is to have different subjects of attention in your life, not just drawing, but having like I don't know, maybe you like I don't know, making sweaters for babies or monkeys, or maybe you like to do hats for iguanas. I don't know, you know what I mean? And that's your side passion, okay? And that side passion is gonna maybe feel your inspiration for a while, and that's what I'm talking about when I talk about like a minefield that you find. And then you're gonna empty that source, and then you're gonna go to another one. An example for me, like in the early years, was the custom brushes in Photoshop, you know, and because out of chaos you could see something come out. You know what I mean? And that's one way, like you're talking about, like doing just random shapes and then something comes out of it. That's one way of being inspired, but it doesn't always work. Maybe sometimes it's a sport you're doing on the side, or maybe you play music, and a song is going to inspire you. But the thing is that you should always be in search of finding those sources of inspiration. Those like oil fields. And once you found one, you just go to town with it. Don't go to bed. Don't sleep. Just empty it. And then when you feel that it's empty, then you move to something else. But it could be one thing today. It could be something else tomorrow. For me, it's been sci-fi for most of my life. As soon as you put a spacecraft and a freaking alien in an image, I get pumped up and inspired. That's my inspiration. But everybody is different. So.
Nice. Yeah. So okay. That answers the question for that. It varies for different artists what it is warms you up. But I'll hit up the artist ego, working with big names like Ridley Scott, working on an IP like Tron Legacy and stuff like that. Like You're probably one of the most humblest guys I've ever met, and that's what I tell people is don't be overconfident, and you're the pinnacle of that. You're very humble. So still, what was that feeling working with Ridley Scott and working on properties like Tron Legacy?
So, I mean, to go on the humble thing, the thing that's very strange is that as I've gone up onto movie stuff, and working with people that are very, very, very good, I have strangely found less and less ego around me, with people I was working with. But the people I work with right now, I idolize those guys, whether it's Ben Potter, Steve Messing, Fausto Di Martini, John Park. I mean, the guys that are next to me, I idolize them like crazy, and they are the humblest people I've ever met, So that's for the humble thing, I think humble is a form of not is the opposite of insecurity, I mean, all artists are insecure, but if you feel less insecure, I think you're more humble. That's probably where it is, in some ways. And if you feel like you have nothing to lose, then you're very humble because you're like, well, you know what? Even if I lose my job tomorrow, I'll do something else, or something like that. Anyway, that's to go to the humble rant that you were on. The thing with working with Ridley Scott, it took me a while, I mean, when it comes to work, I mean, after 1 minute, it's either that or my brain was going to implode anyway. After 1 minute of meeting him, I was like, okay, I gotta work. I'm just a guy doing a job. That's it, So that was kind of a mantra I had in my brain, to pass the fact that I was sitting in front of God number 2, So that was my way of dealing with it. But for a few seconds when he was sitting next to me, it's like, okay, well, that helmet, what are we going to do with that helmet? For one flash of a second, I was thinking, what the hell is going on right now in my life? I did. For 1 second, I was thinking, this is surreal. This cannot be happening. This is not normal. I mean, am I going to wake up from a dream? As I say, is my brain going to implode? Or I don't know. I thought, okay, maybe that's the end of the world or something like that, But then past that, after a few minutes, I was like, okay, I gotta work. If I don't work, I'm gonna be fired tomorrow, because that's how it works in the movie industry. So I thought, okay, well, I gotta work hard. That's all. So that was it.
Yeah, I think I would shit myself if I ever worked for Ridley Scott. I wouldn't even know how to.
Probably did, but I'm not gonna.
It's interesting though, and I thank you for being so humble, because this world is littered with egotistical people, and I think what makes the art industry and professionalism is people being humble and understanding that you're not the best. And I think once someone realizes that, that takes them to an even higher state. Like, I think it was Michelangelo that said, I've just started learning, like this. I've just started, like, and that's awesome, man. Like,
I think that's the best thing, actually, what you just said. I think it's so, and I think that's really what drives the way I act, is that, I mean, if you look, the artists that were there a few thousand years ago, 100 years ago, and they were great, and they were amazing for what they did. But the thing is that it's in art's nature to always improve. That's just the way it is,
Yeah.
And the artists that are here, that are beginning now, that are maybe like 10-year-old or whatever, they're gonna kick my ass when they're 30, and that's just the way it is, And once you accept that you're not gonna be God's sent messiah or whatever, I know that sometimes artists have that feeling, Once you get that you're not that, then you just accept it, and maybe hard to accept at first, but then you're like, it's okay. Well, okay, I'll do my best as long as I'm alive, and that I'm not too old to hold my Wacom pen. And then we'll see.
So onto that question, how how much are you into Renaissance art, and like, who do you prefer, Michelangelo or Da Vinci? That's just a personal question. Who do you like better? I would like to say that as a concept artist, you're more of a Michelangelo in a sense of he worked his ass off, and Da Vinci was more of a slow thinker. Even though he came up with some really good stuff, I think Michelangelo was the hard charger. But it depends. Who do you like better? And this is a personal question that I just threw in there.
To me, what I like about Michelangelo is first he never did any weapons of war, destruction. So that's good, as opposed to Leonardo da Vinci. Even though he was a designer, he did create some weaponry to kill people. So I mean, as much as he's a genius that killed people in some ways. But anyway, that's a side note. As opposed to Michelangelo, who just did amazing sculptures. So, but what I love about Da Vinci was the design aspect to it.
Yes.
Industrial design before industrial design. He basically invented it. But I'd say that I wish I was a Michelangelo, and I think I'm more. I mean, not that I would ever be. But I think in terms of the way I think is more maybe on like 1,000th of a thousandth of a thousandth of a thousandth.
You're so humble.
Of Da Vinci, where I'm just realistic. Where the thing that's weird about me, I think, is that I enjoy the tool more than I enjoy the art. That's not something I talk a lot about, but I enjoy more developing the tools and understanding the tools, but I enjoy doing the art itself. Especially nowadays in 3D, for example, where I'm trying to invent new things, new ways to do things that, especially when I was an Ender's game, I really tried to push the boundaries of what I know about 3D and try to find something that shapes that were never done before, And that's what gets me excited. And I think in some ways that desire of creating the tool is more powerful than the desire to create the art in me, which I think is very similar to like a mentality of Leonardo da Vinci, where he was fascinated by the functioning. When he looks at a bird in the sky, he doesn't think the thing that probably Michelangelo thought was like, oh, beautiful shapes. I think he thought more like, wow, what a beautiful machine. How does it work? I think that's more my way of thinking.
So the thinking aspect. So now my thought is, I've never had the chance to work on the film industry yet. Maybe someday. But my question is, there's a lot of controversy about photo bashing going into illustration. So what do you think about photo bashing? Do you think it's okay when you're doing conceptual art, or do you think it's just a future?
To me, it's just a tool. Okay, I don't think it's the future because I think 3D is the future. That's my. I think like any other art forms that has created any kind of like drama in the industry or whatever, and that's been going on, by the way, for thousands of years. So it's not the beginning. I personally say, who cares? Okay, there's going to be people that are very talented with photo bashing. Okay, and when the phase of photo bashing has passed, then they're going to have to find either another job or another tool to work with. There was a phase where custom brushes for sure were big. Well, I think it's kind of passed a little bit, and you develop different custom brushes. Now it's more like painterly custom brushes. We're going backwards into the look, and because it's more exciting, creates more accents. And it's a mixture of fashion. Something is fashionable for a while, and then it's not going to last because whatever is fashionable is going to be boring at some point, and people are going to have to find other things. So I think it's just a phase. Sure, Right now, people get hired. They're good for bashers, maybe, but it may not last. You know.
Yeah, but people talk about the integrity of that, the integrity of creating from your imagination. Do you think it matters, or is it just do what?
My point of view is, what excites me is design more than illustration. I don't think I'm a good illustrator. I think I'm a better designer than a good illustrator. You know what I mean? And that's what excites me. And as long as I'll find jobs doing that, designs, then I'll be happy to keep doing it. If right now my way of making money in the industry is by photobashing illustrations, if that allows me to feed my wife and my daughter, I'll do it. Sure. If that's what you want of me as a art director, or sure. That's not what I enjoy doing. If that's the question you're asking, I don't enjoy doing it. Do I do it for work? Sure. So it's really about what case, what situation you're in, what project you're working on. Like you have some projects that are hyper photo real, okay? And they're asking you to do an illustration in half a day or a day. Well, what are you going to do? You most probably going to have to use photos. And if you don't, you're going to get fired. So I'd say it depends what are your goals, what are your dreams, and what you're trying to do. The most enjoyable projects I work on are pure design projects. Like a project like Tron Legacy, where you have to design the toilet brush all the way to the door, all the way to the car. That's what I love. And by the way, I have as much joy designing the toilet brush than I have designing the car. Because to me they're both a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing. I love designing things. And as long as I'll get a job doing that, I'll be a happy artist. But if tomorrow my joy is to do hyper-real images, then maybe, and I've done it, and I do it. If I have to use the backdrop of a photo tool to do an image that's fast and that's hyper-real, that looks real, nothing looks more realer than a photo.
Yeah.
So, of course I'm going to use a photo, because that comes from the way. It didn't happen today, by the way. This is the kind of stuff that came from matte painting, and that's an attitude that comes a lot from matte painting artists, and they have a point to a certain extent, and to a certain extent, some matte painting artists may not be able to do designs that are as good as a designer, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So we all have good and bad points into the way we do art, and it's the same way on a generation, though. I think that artists under Michelangelo were very good sculptors. How many good sculptors are alive today, and how much money are they making? I don't think being an amazing sculptor is what brings you the most money nowadays. I think what brings you the most money is to be maybe a good photo basher for the next 5 years. So if it gives you a job, shut up and take it.
Do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but after it's whatever you like. If you hate using photo bashing, and I'm like myself, I'm not crazy about using photo bashing, I try to find projects that don't do it. Because I don't find it as much fun. That's all.
Gotcha.
But I can't criticize the guys that do it, because if they love it and they get jobs, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not it's not my position to choose other people's way of working.
Yeah, whatever puts food on the table.
Exactly, and I respect any artist that's good. Whatever tool they use.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tool. Just like 3D or anything else.
Exactly like Lorena says. Look at Dave McKean. Okay, for those of you younger guys, you probably don't know who he is, but go ahead with it. The guy only used photos, and he used them in a way that didn't use Photoshop at the time, and it's freaking amazing. That guy was a genius, And I don't even know he's dead. I don't think he's dead. Sorry. But that guy used photos ages ago. That was 30 years ago, and he kicked some serious ass at it. I don't think anybody is as good as him even nowadays. So it depends on your abilities, your hard work, and your talent. A mixture of all that, and your motivation and your drive, and who pays your food, and it's all those parameters that create us, So.
Yeah, right. So you already talked a little bit about this, but what about your current workflow? Do you, for example, do you do everything in color right away, or are you more of a like black and white and I color it later type of guy? And is it like evolving constantly your workflow, or are you like more into working in one way that you know is good for you?
I would say that I'm generally more of a mood kind of guy, so I love to work with colors to start with. I mean, with Sparth and I have had that discussion like endlessly for hours and hours, where he loves to start with black and white. I love to start with colors, and we discuss about that endlessly. Although I think both of us have changed nowadays. Sometimes I start with black and white, and I know sometimes Sparth starts with colors now. So you never know, and it's all over the place. Now, whatever inspires you, once again, yeah, that's what I would say. I would say nowadays, because I work a lot in 3D, I'd say a lot of it is driven, and strangely, it's not necessarily by modeling, but what really inspires me is the mood. So I could be using an HDRI, image, like a coloring image into 3D, and then that gives me an inspiration. You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly.
So I say I'm more inspired by colors and moods. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So you are already said the thing about that we artists should aim for the impossible, and because we work best that way. But is there any other piece of advice that you were given in your life, or that you can give to other artists right now that would help them out?
I would say always hang out with the best people that have the best attitude. So don't necessarily hang out with the people that are very talented and are dicks. Hang out with people that are very hard worker and that are cool to hang around with, like fun.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
Don't hang out with people that are downers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah, exactly. Positive vibrations.
Yeah, that's always you don't want to talk to the guys that are negative. It's always a positive vibe that you want with art. And that's what people that's actually one of the things that my mom actually told me, that like one of the few good advices that my mom ever told me was tell me who you hang out with and I will tell you who you are.
That's very true.
And you hang out with bad people, that is who you are. And you hang out with people that are thirsty and hungry and want to learn and have a determination. That's what you want to feed off of. So that's that question.
That's very true. Guys, I'm gonna have to go because my baby keeps crying. I want to sound like I'm a really horrible parent. So I don't know how long you wanted the interview to be, but if you guys wanted the interview to be longer, I'm fine doing a longer one next time. But I'm really sorry. I feel so bad just playing in the background.
Oh, don't worry about it.
That's fine. That's fine, dude. We can maybe do the announcement of the winners whenever you get a free chance, if you want.
Sure, we can do that now.
You want to do that now?
Sure, yeah, I'm going to do that quickly, and then I'll go to my daughter.
Okay, very quickly then. We'll go over the winners very quickly. So honorable mention, we'll go with that. Was Jacob?
Let's find the thread again.
Likewise, Jacob Bazzoni was the honorable mention.
Oh, you bumped it up around, and then someone. Oh, I got it. Okay, got it.
I remembered it. Yeah, Jacob Bazzoni. I think for the most part, this piece was really good. It had the feel of a video game almost like.
Yeah, definitely, it's like playing a level, and almost like there's that feel of the guy looks like the guy teleported there or something like that, and killed everybody. Or I'm not sure what's happening, but I like the lighting, the mood. It really feels like some kind of video game.
Yeah,
I agree.
I loved it. So Jacob, you were the honorable mention. I think you did a great job. Especially that little icon below him, but it was really cool. Um, so on to the third place was Luke Maddox. Luke, we've hung out in the hangouts, and I think David did a paint over of your stuff too, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's one I did paint over for. I didn't do much.
And I see the changes. The red. You emphasized on the evil aspect of the character. Um, I think not only like does it show that this guy's a fucking maniac, but like he's got an army behind him as maniacs, and yeah, I loved it. I loved everything about it. I think you. I think this is actually the first time you place Luke. Luke's been a part of Accenture for a while, and I think your hard work uh, finally placed you and everything about it, the rendering, the mood, the comp. I think it reads well. I would definitely, as a book, if I was to look at a book cover, this would be something I'd look at.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I mean, yeah, totally agree with that. And what I like about it is that it tells a story right away.
It does.
And like you say, it may not be for a movie or something, but it's more like for a book. It's perfect. Totally agree.
So on to second place, Luke Maddox. Luke, you gotta stop. You gotta stop, dude. You gotta stop it. Luke. Not only did he incorporate the last Ascension challenge onto this one, but I think he just took it on to another level.
You meant Joel.
Yeah, you meant Joe.
You said Luke, but you meant Joel.
I said Joel. Did I say Joel? I'm sorry.
No, you said Luke.
Did I? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Joel, I'm sorry.
I think you have Luke on your mind.
Maybe I do. But yeah, Joel, I'm sorry, Joel. I've had too much wine. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Joel, man. Just everything all around. I think from the imperialistic like Roman statues that he indicated everywhere, like the monolithic just things of great, the great empire type thing. It's just everywhere. It's littered everywhere. And I think you did a great job with a contrast of a sci-fi bad guy where you can tell that this guy is obviously not a humanic, animalistic entity. He's a cyborg of some sort. I thought that was great.
What I like really is the composition, the order and the rhythm there is between all the heads and the girl in the foreground. In other artists would have like really pumped the lighting on her, make it like super like sci-fi or whatever. But he decided to keep her in the shadow, and I think that's very smart. Him or her, I'm not sure.
It was great, really good stuff. So finally, on to the winner. The winner of Ascension 19, before we close up, Dan Llanos. I will not get your name wrong this time. I think overall it was just, I think the mood of it, I think for the most part, like right here, it's kind of rough, like this area right here, but I think you did a great job, dude, for the most part. I think
the reason why I like it personally, if I jump in correct first, is that even though if you look at it like in a small window or whatever, it's impactful right away. That's why I noticed it first. And maybe, I mean, I'm going to sound like a bastard. Maybe it may not be technically necessarily at the same level of some of the other entries that we just mentioned earlier on. What I like about it, it's to me, it feels more like a concept art. Okay, it's something that I get the concept, I get the deal, I get the shot. I can totally see that either in the book or in the movie. Those like fast laser finger things. You know, we don't even know how they work at first. But I don't know. I really love the concept. You know, like some areas, like the legs, made it a little bit of work. You know, maybe like some highlights and things like that. But I think that the concept overall works very well. That's my take.
Yeah, yeah. I think the idea of like having like laser cutter things, I thought it was really cool. And you talked about that having a discrete weapon type of thing, and I think he hit that really good. So that's what she said. Um, but yeah, good job, guys. I think all the entries were really great. Good job, good job. Um, and that's all I have. David, thanks for thanks for being a part of this, and
Well,
hopefully,
thanks for having me. I'm super happy to be part of this. And I was really blessed to follow the entries that way. So thanks for having me.
no worries, man.
Yes, thank you.
Hopefully in the future we can have you again to do this,
Sure.
and maybe down the line we'll be a little bit more elaborate with things, and I'm looking at doing what the artist is good at type of thing. So yeah, it was really fun. So thanks again, man. It's been an honor to have you.
A pleasure. I'm super happy to have been here. And once again, I really love the whole idea of creating a character and stuff like that. And it was really a blast. So I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for everything. Thank you, Lorena, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys.
Bye
See you guys
bye.
later. Thanks for
Alright,
coming.
guys.